My name is Amy Babinchak, and I'm the president of the board of this organization called the National Society of IT Service Providers, which we call the NSITSP. I'm also the owner of an over 21-year-old MSP up in Michigan. We came into existence in 2021, and we're working to grow our membership rapidly. We have a bunch of goals. We know that there's a very soon going to be a need across multiple levels of government in all 50 states for a voice whenever those state and local governments are discussing our futures. We want to see the reputation of firms in our industry improve and be respected. We want the attacks to stop. We want to raise the level of professionalism, and to do this, we need your expertise, your assistance, and your passion for the industry. We're forming up committees to work on these issues now. So not only do I want you to become a member, but I also need you to volunteer and help shape the future of our industry before it gets shaped for us. We are under attack. It used to be that we could say that our clients were under attack. Sure, our staff could just as easily fall victim to a phishing email, but generally they didn't. Tech staff largely seemed to be immune from social attacks, and we sat back smugly, knowing there was no malware incident on our systems in the last couple decades. It couldn't happen to us because we are the smart ones. Then it did. Ransomware increased 300% in 2020 from the previous year, and it's not like we're starting from zero. And the ransoms themselves went from $300 in 2013 to millions of dollars in 2020. And suddenly our trusted, unattended remote access tools themselves got hacked. Sometimes because of the technology itself, sometimes because of the unwillingness of the MSP to patch their own systems, and sometimes because the tools weren't moved to the cloud when they probably should have been. Whatever the case was, we suddenly found ourselves in the news, and not in a good way. At first, the blame was placed on the tool manufacturers, but that narrative has subsequently shifted to the IT services provider. Business cried foul. You were supposed to protect us, and you didn't. When a cybersecurity news story breaks, you hear some really silly things from the media because they don't understand our industry. Why would you have this tool that's so dangerous? Why would you have this RMM thing? What is that? What does it mean? Why would you hire somebody else to take care of your security? We know the answers to all of those questions. It's because this business is complex and hard, and so you need tools and you need experts, and the typical business can't protect itself without them. But we're the only ones that know that. Our voice has literally been missing from the news. It's been missing from the legislature. It has been missing from everything. The resulting fallout hasn't hurt the RMM tools market much. Those giant companies just keep plugging along, and they've often joined the chorus of pinning the blame on the user, which is us. A familiar shoe on the other foot now for the IT provider. Firms were rightly called out for not applying patches to their own systems, for using old versions of software, and for not adopting multi-factor authentication. I like to strangle them myself. Those are unforgivable sins if you're out there calling yourself a professional, but in our industry, there is no standard of competence and no code of ethics. The attacks on our industry have continued. Errors in emissions insurance rates doubled, tripled, and even quadrupled for some tech firms. Cyber insurance put in exclusions for paying ransoms. The state of Louisiana was first out of the gate with a shot across the bow that should have been a wake-up call to all of us. After the city of New Orleans and other small cities were shut down by ransomware incidents, Louisiana decided if you're going to do business with government in their state, that you need to register first and report any cybersecurity incidents that you or your clients incur. They're making that information public for any potential new customers of yours to see. And most importantly, they specifically put the acronyms MSP and MSSP into that law. They know what they're doing. They're starting to rope us into the system by name. Now the federal government is getting into our business too. For our clients, the IRS started applying the anti-terrorism rules that say it's illegal to fund terrorism, which they define as paying the ransom to certain known criminal organizations. Now they want reporting on everything greater than $600 so they can track ransom payments even more closely. For those firms whose best option out of a bad situation is to pay the ransom, this could be disastrous. CISA has been on a publishing tear, telling everyone from enterprise to small business what they need to consider when hiring an IT services firm of any stripe. And that document even addresses how to protect your business from an MSP. That's definitely not a message that is good for our industry. CISA isn't speaking for us. They are speaking out against us. Even the Biden administration has a security plan. It calls for information sharing between government and private sector, more investment in shoring up federal cyber security, calls out improving supply chain security as a priority, which of course means our tool sets and our companies. Sure, there's money to be made from these government contracts, and we like to see an increase in security spending, but again, that's a direct shot at us. Improving supply chain security, that's skepticism that we're doing a good job, that we're competent and professional. It's sowing doubt, and none of this is how we want to be portrayed. We want to be seen as the good guys that we are, the experts that we are, but that is not the message that's coming through. We've been noticed by the federal government. We've been noticed by all 50 states. Then they now have privacy laws in place and are taking up cybersecurity in bill after bill. They aren't doing that so they won't pass legislation. We're being talked about in all states. Media is writing about us. We've been noticed by business organizations. There's a great call for cybersecurity education by local business groups and great skyrocketing market for providing cybersecurity to businesses of all sizes. The good news is that we're all making money. The bad news is that governments and businesses are wondering about us. We are a black box to them, and they want to shed some light into that box. They want to know which firms are qualified and which might not be. They want to know what qualifies you to do the job, other than you saying so. The federal government can't reach down to states and regulate us or license us, but state and local governments can, and those politicians have noticed. The result is going to be regulation or licensing or maybe both. The wheels of government are starting to turn. We have to get our industry joined together and have our voices heard. There are people in this industry, and we all know them, that have profitable businesses and poor business models. We know that many businesses are carrying technical debt and making poor decisions based around maintaining it. We have the same problem within our own community too. There are people making a good living out of providing and maintaining old insecure solutions and giving bad advice. I recently consulted with a firm that advised their client to keep an old group of 2008 era servers because it would be more secure than moving those workloads to the cloud. That is almost always the wrong advice to give. Guess what? They got ransomware. They thought they were and were advised that they would be protected because they were old school. What do we do about unprofessional advice? It hurt that business. And when that happens, it hurts us all. A strong professional organization can address issues like this. Taken all together, this adds up to a reputation problem, a serious one. I know that you're all competent professionals, but if I'm the only one that knows, then it doesn't matter. The business world needs to know that you are different, you are outstanding in your field, and you are among the elite. But that's not what most people think of when they think about what makes someone outstanding in their field. It's not enough that you attend conferences, so what is it? In our organization, we've already formed up a few committees, and one of them is a legislative committee. We are fortunate to have as a member of that committee a guy that's also the chair of the California Ethics Committee. So he asked a few people around the state government that are showing interest in cybersecurity what they thought about us as an industry. The first thing they wanted to know was, what degree do we have that makes us qualified? Our industry does have some degree programs, but in general, those are not what make great IT people. And because we are a relatively new industry, many of us came to this field from a place of passion and probably hold some other degree or none at all. But why did they want to know what degree we have? Because most politicians are lawyers, and to be a lawyer, which they consider a profession, you have to have a degree. You also have to be a member of good standing in the Bar Association, which is the lawyers' membership organization. That's their definition of professional. If we are calling ourselves professional, what is our evidence of that claim? That's where many legislators are going to be starting from when they take a hard look at our industry, and that's a problem. It's one of the many that we have to overcome. We have no definition of professional. I am one of the many in this industry that is successful, considered a leader, a professional, and yet don't have a degree in IT. In fact, I have a degree in public affairs, which is a fancy way of saying government. I'm not unusual. Most people in our industry have come into it from some other place because they've found a passion for it. We need a way to explain that. We don't currently have one. When I go talk to a client, they don't realize that for someone to cut their hair, they have to have a license. But for someone to come and be responsible to take care of their multi-million-dollar business's technology, they need nothing more than someone to open the door and let them walk in. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we have to have license or regulation or required degrees. What I'm saying is we need to do something. And that's one of the things that the National Society of IT Service Providers is going to do. We're going to figure out what we have to do to right this ship. We're at a point in our industry where we need to hold each other accountable or decide to let the law and government hold us accountable. So how do you make your voice heard? You first need to become a member. It's only $100 a year for a professional membership, which allows you to vote and participate on committees. Please visit our website to sign up. While you're there, you'll also find some educational materials to get you up to speed on the important issues facing us and how you can be part of the solution.